Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners, and we are starting Book 3, and we are starting Book 3, A Storm of Swords.
There we go. Fan favorite book.
Fan favorite book. I feel like we just talked about that.
He's read one chapter. How does he know that?
I said in the end of the Clash of Kings general talk that I think this third one is like consensus in the fandom as the best book.
That's so funny because I even went after we recorded that one. Went and talked to Erica, my wife. I was like, Nelson said she said no, that one. I think it was that one. It was either this one or the one before, but it was a struggle to get through, and she's fairly certain it was this one. Well,
I was gonna say one thing I'm gonna say before we jump in and get Kyle's opinion of the prologue is we used to give Jeff a little bit of a hard time for the intros because he used to have trouble with the ice and fire. He used to say fire and ice. I watched an interview with George R.R. Martin from like way back in the day when like right after Clash of Kings had just came out.
He said it like me because I'm a goat.
And he said Song of Fire and Ice. So he said it backwards. He said his own series backwards back in the day.
It happens. Come on, it's details. Sometimes details matter. Sometimes they don't.
All right, well, Kyle, what do we think of the prologue?
So it was pretty cool. I mean, the whole time, obviously, you're rooting against this Chet dude. Like
fuck Chet.
He seems like a piece of shit. I mean, he's trying to kill a couple of. Again, we had this discussion. I think in the last recap episode of like who's the actual good guys, right? Like, so like is Mormont and Sam, are they good dudes?
Yeah.
In our opinion, yes. Yeah. Because they're our friends, right? Yeah. So like you these outsiders are coming to take them away from us.
This guy fucking hates him.
This is something that I wanted to ask you. Was like, did you think Sam was dead? Like, are we thinking like when you're halfway through this chapter, are we like, damn, I like that guy. Sucks. Sam's about to be kicked the bucket. You know what I mean?
I mean, like I said, so you're rooting against it the whole time. So I was holding out hope, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. There was always potential that like, well, fuck, here it comes. Like,
especially for Mormont, he's too badass of a dude to.
Well, I was expecting Mormont to go at the end for sure.
All right.
Like I thought I was like, well, this is I guess where the end of him is. They killed off Corn Halfhand. This is going to leave him in a really shitty spot that a lot of their higher ups are getting wiped out.
That's true. That would be interesting to see what they do. Like we're already undermanned now, just like wipe out all like the heads of everything.
Cut the head off, right? Yeah.
Time for a new regime of the.
Well, it's not even a new regime. It's like, oh, hey, here's this giant enemy force on its way, and you're in shambles, right? Like,
yeah. All right. So I mean, my opinion is it's just long. But these long chapters are. It wouldn't be a bad read if you're just reading, but like I can only imagine your notes, Nelson, and like I try to keep like a timeline notes just to keep it moving and know where we're at. But man, like when you have to take notes, the chapter like triples in size.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, it takes a while. That's why I try and like not take all the notes in like one sitting because then I'm just like sitting here for like whatever 3 hours for one chapter. It's better to do like I'll read a third of the chapter and do it for a little bit here and there. This one, there's a lot of new names, and without jumping ahead, like what happens kind of like with the end of this chapter, where are we sitting? Kind of a cliffhanger ending, right? Times 3.
Kid's pissing his pants.
Yeah. Well, he was talking big game the whole time, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He seemed like a bully, like your typical bully.
It's really funny because a couple times he referenced like Sam would piss his pants.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm.
Like that was just like, oh, shut up, you're a pussy, you'd piss your pants, and then he's the one that pisses his pants. It's great.
Anything to say, I guess, like in the general first one, but there's a lot of new people, and again, like it's somewhere that it's like an area of interest in like the Fist of the First Men. That was like we kind of like lost eyes on this when John left. Mm-hmm. And if this book follows the tradition of prologue chapters are one and done, to be fair, most of the time prologue chapters they die. The past two.
Well, I was going to say you really hyped that up at in the last one. You're like, yeah, so far all our prologue characters nobody made it out alive. Yeah.
Sometimes I like to give you those what are they called? False whatever.
Red herrings. What's the word you're looking for?
So first one was the guy that was with Raymore Royce, right? And he died.
Yeah, and I was gonna say like I feel like the very beginning, like the first paragraph or two is kind of a mirror to the first prologue ever. And you guys aren't going to remember. But the very first words of the series are, "We should head back." And it's one of the two Night's Watchmen that are with Waymar Roy saying like, "Yo, let's get the fuck out of here." And Waymar says, "No, we're going to push forward. I want to see what's there." And this one starts with Chet being like, "All right, fuck it. Like, we're heading back, right? We can't find this. We're looking for a bear. We can't find the bear." Also, I think that's kind of cool to what you were saying with I thought Mormont was actually going to be a goner. I don't know if this is a little symbolism, but like they can't catch the bear at the beginning of the chapter. And then
the old bear.
There's a couple symbolisms like that too. Like Snow, he hates Snow, right? He already hates John, and then Snow ruins the plan.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's, again, I don't know how much of that's intentional, but I feel like some of it is, right? So yeah, I guess we can jump into the middle if we don't have anything, or jump back into the start if there's no other like general points we want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. You know, I think we spent a lot of time in the last book talking about the horns a little bit, and we finally get to the third horn, which is kind of cool. But then it ends, obviously.
Yeah, this is another. It's a good point too. I think there was a point where I said what the third horn blast meant. And I think Kyle might have even called me on it and said, like, wait, do we know what that was? And I was like, I think we know. And I'm not sure if we knew or not. Maybe we didn't know. And this is where we would learn it. But I don't think it's a big one because the tension's still there after 2 blasts. You're like, wait, is it 2? Either way, 2 or 3 is still bad, right?
I didn't remember what any of them were.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the chapter. So Chet's mad as shit. He's out with the dogs. They're trying to hunt this bear. He's also with 2 guys, Lark the Sisterman and Small Paul, who's actually a huge guy.
And he's not based on, but he's like a nod to Lenny from Of Mice and Men, right? Giant. And he's like
can
simple.
Squeeze a guy dead.
He's like simple, and then he's later like talking about this bird all the time, kind of like how Lenny liked his mice and Of Mice.
Is that confirmed? You saw an interview about that?
I saw that somewhere. Yeah, that it's supposed to be a nod. Yeah.
Nelson just identifies with Lenny.
I do love Lenny. What a great character.
You used to tell me all the time you were Lenny. Now it's George or whatever.
Exactly. There you go, George Lenny.
God. Take him out by the river.
I like Small Paul.
Yeah, so here's kind of where I don't know the last time we heard from Chet. He's kind of an ugly, boil-faced kid or guy.
Pretty much when John got him kicked out, I think, is really the end of him.
Yeah.
He might have been around, don't get me wrong. Like, when they were leaving, it was like, make sure Chet brings dogs. But, like, overall, like, interaction is for sure.
For the most part, you're 100% right. There is one really interesting quote, though, that I'm going to read. It's the last chapter that John was at the Fist. John had hoped that the arrival of the men from the Shadow Tower would lift the spirits of the camp. Only last night, he was coming back through the dark from a piss when he heard 5 or 6 men talking in low voices around the embers of a fire. When he heard Chet muttering that it was past time they turned back, John stopped to listen. "It's an old man's folly, this raging," he heard. "We'll find nothing but our graves in the mountains. There's giants in the Frostfangs and wargs and worse things," said Lark the Sisterman. "I'll not be going there, I promise you." "The old bear's not like to give you a choice." "Might be we won't give him one," said Chet.
Wow.
Just then, one of the dogs had raised his head and growled, and he had to move away quickly before he was seen. I was not meant to hear that, he thought. He considered taking the tale to Mormont, but he could not bring himself to inform on his brothers, even brothers such as Chet and the Sisterman.
Wow, John knew it.
It just kind of makes you think, like, what if it would have, to your point, Kyle, like, what if they actually would have done this? And, like, word got back to John, like, that would eat him alive. You know what I mean? That he knew or, like, had, like, a whisper of this and didn't tell Mormont. I feel like that would destroy him.
I think it's pretty funny that he didn't call on his brother, or, like, tell on his brothers. But then Snow, like we just said, Snow is the thing that kind of thwarted the plan anyway.
Kind of cool, yeah. And kind of like we're saying, like, Chet, the other interesting thing about Chet here is it's the first POV we get from a character, like you're going to say, not that we've had a POV from before, but like that we know this guy, like we've seen him around. And Kyle's 100% right. For the most part, we know nothing about this guy except for his job was stolen. That was just one that I remember reading when we read it, and I was like, I got to mark that down for when we get to the Chet chapter.
And that's fair. And I mean, but at the same time, right, like, so not to say that it wouldn't have destroyed John, but like, who's to say it wouldn't have been another group of these pissed off dudes? Like, there has to be a bunch of pissed off people here, right? Like,
I just think, like if John would have learned that it actually happened exactly like he heard
I get what you're saying. But their whole plan was that nobody would know who actually did it and where these guys went. And, you know, like,
maybe it's maybe this is, if anything, is proof that Chet's not as sneaky as he thinks. right?
True.
If we only know one other person on the Fist, and that guy pretty much knows.
I mean, he literally just laid out the plan. He literally laid out the plan.
And that was like a week before, at least, right?
I mean, John's been gone since then.
Yeah.
Right. So however long
That's what I'm
John's been
saying.
gone, it's got to be
weeks.
I'm thinking. Yeah.
Good moon turn.
That's what I didn't want to overestimate, but yeah, like, so I mean, he's been stewing on this for a while. He's probably said it too many times for sure.
Just around the campfire too. Yeah, a lot of people are definitely hearing it. So he kind of goes in on John ruining like his cushy job with Maester Aemon and just kind of looking after him in some fires and taking some meals, and now he's out with these dogs and even Sam, which I don't really get like the part because like Sam's out here too. Like Sam's freezing his balls off with you.
You're saying you don't understand why he thinks that if Sam wouldn't have taken his job, he wouldn't be here.
No, it sounds like he would still be here.
I disagree. I think Sam's here because he can read. Right? So the reason that's...
Right. Okay. So maybe Chet was never the Raven guy. He just cleaned up after the Ravens.
Exactly. He says he cleaned up after the Ravens, but I think Sam has more to do with the Ravens because he can read.
Yeah. Makes sense.
He's also here because John...
So again, I'm not 100% sure. It's possible that he would have got sent anyway. But I've heard other people say this. Like, I've seen that in forums. Like, Chet's stupid. He wouldn't have been on the ranging if Sam took the job because Sam's here anyway. But no, Sam has a special ability. Like, he can go... he helped make the map. Like, he was doing research and stuff, right? Like, he was looking for maps in the library.
Well, and like I said, Andy's John's homie, right? So, like, of course, they're going to...
But Sam didn't want to go.
No.
I know, but I feel like Mormont and them knew... Like, this is growth for him. John will be here. You know, like, I feel like it was kind of part of that as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just, like, definitely be mad at John. Like, John seemed to be a big part. Sam just seemed to kind of fall into his lap, kind of. Like, it's not Sam's fault he can read. But, sure, be mad at him, whatever. He stole your job.
So part of what you were saying, Jeff, like, this is kind of a long chapter. I feel like part of the reason it's long is it's, like, drip-fed on what's happening, right? Like, you don't really quite understand right away what's happening. Like, Chet says, like, who cares what Mormont thinks? He won't be around tomorrow to know what it means, right? But at that point, as a reader,
you're like, is he leaving?
You're like, wait, what's that? Yeah, exactly. Like, is he going on a ranging by himself? Exactly.
Yeah. So to your point, Paul's like, yo, we can't leave this hunt. Like, old Bear's gonna be mad if we don't bring back fresh food. And Lark's like, oh, bugger him and whatever. He's not gonna be here. Yeah. And then we get a little bit of Chet explaining the plan that they've got a group of guys. They've set up a time that 8 of their guys will be kind of on watch.
You want to read that? I think I got the same quote you did. The old bear dies and Blaine.
I didn't take a quote. I just kind of bulleted it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there's the part where Chet kind of where I see him first come out and like explain actually what's going on. He says the old bear dies and Blaine from the Shadow Tower, Grubbs and Ethan as well, their ill luck for drawing the watch, Dywyn and Bannon for their tracking, and Sir Piggy for the ravens. That's all. Kill them quiet while they sleep. One scream and we're worm food, every one of us. Just do your bit and see that your cousins do theirs. And Paul, try and remember it's third watch, not second. So that's after Lark says they should kill all the officers, right? So here, and he goes on to explain kind of like why these people are selected. And he says some of them there, right? So Dywyn and Bannon for their tracking. We've heard that these are like two of the... I think we've heard Dywyn. I think Bannon's new. Dywyn is the guy with wooden teeth. He talks later, too.
Yeah, we meet these guys later on, too, I think.
Yeah. The thing that I wonder is Sam does seem like an important person to kill in this situation. But, like, how is he as important? Like, is he necessary? You know what I mean? Like, Chet's trying to go necessary.
Yeah.
Sam might be like because I hate this guy.
You could almost just kill the ravens and...
Sam is definitely some revenge killing. I feel like there's already a little too many here, like Dywyn and Bannon for their tracking. Like, do they really think they're going to track these dudes that far? Like, when this other stuff's going on? I mean, I know they didn't know it was right here, but...
Yeah, I mean, I bet if they do, they probably send out, like, 10 guys to go get them, but...
This is like Dywyn's like job though. It's what he does for a living, right? Like if he's a tracker, if he's like a ranger in the Night's Watch, all you do is like go out there and look for signs of things in the woods, right?
Yeah, but if they left and there's hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of people coming that are enemies, like who would you be concerned about? The 6 guys that pieced out in the middle of the night?
Well, that's kind of what the plan is he thinks that yes, Mormont would be concerned, which is why Mormont has to die. And he thinks Blaine, who I guess is second in command, would also be concerned. He thinks Otten Withers, who's the third in command, wouldn't be concerned and would just get the fuck out of there because of exactly what you're saying. Like, fuck, there's people coming. We need to GTFO. I don't give a fuck about the deserters. It seems like Chet thinks that in some respect, the old bear and this guy Blaine would care regardless of the situation that these guys deserted. He thinks that if it got to Auden, he would run. And if it got to Smallwood later in the chapter, he thinks like, you know what? Actually, if we kill Auden Withers, Smallwood wants to attack him. So if I can
he's
get that,
kill everybody.
then they'll all die, and no one will ever even know we deserted. Because if it's Auden, then they'll know they deserted, but he won't care, and they'll go back to the wall, and then they'll still know that there's deserters out there.
I think there's definitely holes in some of the logic, and like whatever. Like I don't know if Chet's the smartest person, but
yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to argue that it would work or that he's right in thinking that the old bear and Blaine would care. Like maybe they wouldn't, and maybe Auden Withers would. I'm just trying to explain like in what I think he's thinking. Right.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. So it goes to what you were saying earlier about he thinks his plan is so smart and foolproof and sneaky and like he's got all his bases covered. But I mean, I already think that he's kind of going above and beyond here. I think if it was just the three of them, Paul, Lark, and Chet just pieced out, like would anybody give a shit?
Yeah, because I think they would very easily send out one tracking party of like 5 guys, find them quick, kill them, and go. Like you wouldn't have to disassemble.
You think that 5 guys would be able to find these? Yeah, in the middle of the night. That's what I'm saying. If they just slipped out.
Yeah, I think 2 really good trackers.
They would notice quickly, though. They would notice the next day.
Yeah, they're going to be like, hey, Chet, go get the dogs. We're like, oh, wait, where are the dogs? And Chet's only going to be...
Yeah, or like, why didn't Lark show up for first watch? Like, these guys have like, I'm sure they have duties every day.
You say this like there's walkie-talkies and there's...
I'm just saying, like, let's go back to what we know of deserters. It is the first brand chapter in the prologue of the first book. And we don't know what extent they went to track that guy down, but Ned took his fucking head off because he deserted, right? And he saw some shit. Yeah. And he told everyone he saw some. He's like, I saw some fucking shit, guys. Like, that's why I deserted. And they're like, I don't care, cutting your head off anyway.
Yeah.
That was also Ned.
I know, but like Ned
dead.
Didn't capture him.
Winterfell's empty. I'm
just explaining like deserters is a bad thing. And kind of like what Ned said there, the interesting thing Ned said is the reason we do this is because a deserter is the most dangerous criminal.
Yeah, he had no loyalty anymore.
Yeah, because
except
he knows
to himself.
That if he's caught, he's dead. There's no crime he won't commit. Right, which is kind of interesting here because it's kind of like why Chet, to me, it's like why is Chet doing all this instead of just running? There's no difference. Him deserting gets him in just as much trouble as this, and this seems safer to him than just running off in the night. So again, like maybe he's not right, but in his mind, this is safer than the other way, and they're equally punishable.
Okay.
What's interesting to me about the whole deserter thing being like the worst criminal, like it definitely makes sense to me. It's a little bit strange that a deserter can't hide that he's a deserter better. Like I get it, they're wearing all black, but I'm sure there's people that just wear all black because it's a good look,
you
right?
Can buy some fucking clothes.
Right. So that's like my whole point. Is like it's not like they have a tattooed crow on their face or there's not a mark that tells them that they're a Night's Watchman deserter. They're just dressed in all black. Like they could like sneak up in Molestown, steal a new shirt, and then change your name. Like I feel like it should be like I know we got a guy got caught, right? And he didn't try really hard to desert. And it seems like they've been catching him for a long time. But it shouldn't be that hard. But
well, to what you're saying too, they get into that later here when they start kind of going through what some of the deserters are going to do. Like, and if I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but Mark starts to tell Chet what he's going to do. He's like, oh, once they desert, he's like, me and my cousins. So again, we don't know how many, but at least 2 of Lark's cousins are also in on this plot. They're going to go back to the Sisters, which are just some islands off the coast of Westeros.
And that's when I found out that Sister Man didn't mean that he was
like a lady man.
I didn't know exactly what the definition meant. I was confused.
Yeah, someone from the Sisters. These like 3 islands exactly. So. He says he's going to go back there, and Chet thinks you're an idiot. Everyone will know you.
They know you were sent here. Yeah.
Yeah, you were from there, and you're going back to the place you're from. Chet thinks, I don't want to go back to the place I'm from, so I can't go back there anyway. He's like, I could go to Tyrosh, because Alo Lapand is a Tyroshi. So he's going to go back to Tyrosh, where they don't give a fuck about Westerosi customs. To your point, Jeff, like, if you're going to desert, just desert across the Narrow Sea, and you're totally fine. No one gives a shit over there.
Yeah.
But also, to your point, like, go anywhere that you're not from. And unless you're highborn, no one's going to know.
I mean, even if you are highborn, like only that family's probably going to know. Like,
you're right. You harp on this all the time. There's no photo ID.
There's no there's probably not a picture of you anymore there. Like, but whatever. So they kind of talk about why they're here in the first place, which we know. Like, they haven't found. They went out looking for the Lost Rangers, Waymar Royce and Benjen. They obviously haven't found them yet, and they're also the like side mission was what the hell are the wildlings doing up in the Frostfangs? And Thor and Smallwood made it back to tell them what's going on.
Again, so this kind of goes back to, I kind of forgot this, that when they sent John out with Corin, they sent 2 other parties of like the same size out. One that was led by Thorin and one that was led by Jarman Buckwell. And Buckwell isn't back and Corin's not back. And Chet the whole time's like, well, they're fucking dead. And we don't know what happened to Buckwell, but he's kind of right about the Corin.
They're probably
group.
Fucking dead. Yeah.
The Corin group's fucking dead. Right? So
Hopes they're face down with a spear in their back. Or he said his ass. in their arse.
We get the report on like what's going on with the wildlings, right? Which kind of, if we remember the last John chapter that we read, when John meets up with them and he's talking to Ygritte, he says like, "Oh, we're gonna go like back up into the Frostfangs now, right?" And she's like, "Oh no, we're the rear guard. We got to go catch up with everybody, right?" Which kind of is what they're saying, like, "Oh, they're on the move. They're coming towards us now." Which we're getting the same, matching stories.
So we hear that they're coming. Harma, what's her last name?
Harma
Dog's Head.
Yeah.
Harma Dog's Head.
What was the bone guy's name?
Rattleshirt. He called himself the Lord of Bones, but they called him Rattleshirt.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it kind of sounded similar. Dog's head, bone. That was kind of, I was like, wait, is that the same group? But I got you.
Yep. This is, I think we heard her name when Corin first showed up. He rattled off like a list of Rattleshirt, Harma Dog's Head.
It's pretty dope that the females lead in this thing too.
Yeah, if you're badass in the wildling culture, it
doesn't matter.
You're in charge. And again, like we saw with John, like he showed up and Rattleshirt was like saying shit, but everyone was just like questioning him, and he's like, "These guys
fuck off, Rattleshirt." Yeah.
So Harma's leading the van, 500 deep, mostly horsed, all horsed
in the van. Yeah.
And then there's the whole group filing behind them, about 20 to 30,000 deep, and they're not going home. They're coming down the pass here. They're coming right by the fist.
Yeah.
And just them being on horses is strange. So like they know something is serious.
Yeah. Well, at least the van. But then the rest of them they're like herding sheep and herding people.
Well, they said it's crazy to find even a dozen mounted, let alone 500.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, because
so
that's the van. They say that the van was 500 men and they were all mounted. So that's because Chet when he's thinking about this, he's thinking of the past, how one of the guys from Thorne's party was telling us around a fire, and he's like, when he said that they were mounted, we're all like, holy fuck, what mounted? And that's like, I think what you're saying, like a dozen mounted. How did the fuck do they have 500? But I think if that's just because like they're all fucking here. All the wildlings are here, so they got all the mounted people in the front. And kind of Mormont goes into it later with his plan. They might not all be in the front, but they got most of them in the front, probably a lot in the back, and then the rest of them with Mance. Besides that, it's just fucking people. Just people and
kids,
chickens,
old
and
people.
Sheep, oxen's pulling sleds of
I kind of like I like Mormont's plan, but let's talk about that later on. So Chet's just like, fuck this, like let's abandon. We already know that because he's trying to kill people to get out. Thorin wants to turn and fight them.
Chet's like, what a fucking idiot. Who, like, he knows we have 300, right? And 30,000? Like, what is this guy thinking?
One night's watchman is worth 100 wildlings. What's the math? I think I would be on
Chet's side.
100?
After Mormont gives his speech, I would be on Chet's side. I would be like, anybody trying to set up a mutiny, I am getting the fuck out of here before tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck... Are we attacking?
Actually, no. All right. I'm going to save it. So, Thorin wants to attack. Old Man Withers wants to go back to the wall. And Mormont's like, fuck you guys. I'm waiting on Buckwell and Corin before I decide anything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the plans lead off for now.
Yeah, because we hear that this all happened 3 days ago, right? So, like I said, this is Chet thinking back. Thorin got back 3 days prior to this. So, basically, it makes sense. He says, I'm not doing anything till we hear from Buckwell and Corin. Well, he's been sitting on this for 3 days. They haven't heard from
it's
Buckwell
time to make a move. We find out later they're 10 days away, so it's time to start making some moves.
Yeah. Shit or get off the fist.
So Chet just goes back to kind of current thinking. He's kind of pissed at the dogs and he's not feeding them anyway. Kind of more of the plan. He hasn't fed the dogs so that they get angry, and they're going to set up a diversion when the whole shit starts going, when the plan starts tonight.
Eat the horses and stuff. The dogs will mess. Yeah, like you said.
Run through some tents and shit.
Also, fuck it. Like the worst part about Chet is that he kicks these dogs all the time. Like fuck this guy.
Well, that's how you know somebody's bad guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you kicking dogs, you're a bad guy.
So now we start to learn more of the people. So I just kind of made a running list of the people. Lark, Small Paw. There's a guy named Dirk who's good with a knife. Softfoot. Lark's cousins. We don't know how many cousins. It's just said Lark's cousins. Then later on we hear of Donald, Clubfoot, and Lophand.
Also later on we hear of Sawwood and Maslin. They're the two that are like, at the fire. They're like kind of nervous.
Yeah, Maslin's definitely worried.
But yeah, that's all I got too. Yeah, and so that's 12. If you assume that Lark only has 2 cousins, that's 12, and we know there's 14 total. So there's 2 we're missing, or Lark has 4 cousins.
Or there's 4 cousins.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if that matters at all, but Jeff and I got it figured out.
Yeah,
14 still seems like a big group. I mean,
I agree. Yeah. And Lark wanted more. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like you need a plan to work. If you want it done right, do it yourself.
Yeah. I think there's like a saying like if 2 people know it's a secret, if 3 people know it's news or something like that.
Yeah, or gossip or something. Yeah. I think it might be news.
4 people know. 14 people.
It's kind of like the Dark Knight opening scene. Like you kind of gotta have somebody do their job and then you off them right away so that they don't fuck it up.
Yeah, just have Small Paw. His only job is to go around and give everybody a hug. Oh, congrats on the successful mutant.
Yeah.
Hug, crush, gone, dead.
Well, yeah, I think that's what everybody's like. One of the main beefs against the moon landing conspiracy is like, how could you convince all of NASA to believe this lie and then perpetuate it, and keep it covered up that it was filmed in some backlot?
I missed the connection.
Just because there's so many people that were involved in it, how would you keep that a fucking secret?
How has nobody come out?
I guess I never quite understood how. Like, I never thought about how you would fake the moon landing. You would have to just I would assume just the astronauts didn't know, right? But yeah, how do you do that? Yeah, everyone. You're right. Everyone.
Sure.
That's one of the craziest.
Those would be the only people that have to know now.
That's one of the craziest theory I've ever heard.
I guess for some reason I assumed that you could fake the moon landing. Those 3 could fake the moon landing, but that doesn't make sense. Like, they're not driving the rocket. There's like 50 people in a control room down here driving.
Yeah. We didn't have to get sidetracked on it, but that's like the argument is way too many.
We hear just another part of Chet hating Sam. And he's just like, I can't wait to kill Mr. Piggy and slit his throat and watch his blood drip down his fat.
Give my love to Lord Snow.
Gonna give him a little pillow talk, whisper in the ear after he cuts him up. So, and this is where Nelson talked on it. They start talking about what their plan is going to be. So Lark wants to go home because he's an idiot. And it's funny because Chet, I don't think Chet's stupid. Or I don't think Chet's smart. I think he is stupid. And he's making fun of these people for being even more stupid. Lark wants to go home. Lophand to Tyro. She's like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? And we kind of hear of why Chet got here, which I thought was a pretty interesting story from his bringing up with his dad and then his girl taking the knife. But
yeah, finding out how Chet got to the wall. Deserved it. He deserves to be here, right? Also kind of weird to find out he's from the Frey area, right? Like he was kind of upset that Lord Frey didn't come himself.
They sent a bastard to deal with him. How old was he now? Did you know? Old enough to
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure how old Chet is right now.
Old enough to want to diddle a girl.
Yeah. And I don't know how long ago that was either. But yeah, I assumed teenage.
Yeah, I mean he's got acne. I mean boils. Is it just acne? I don't
know if boils is the same as acne. I thought boils was an actual thing.
Boils are a thing for sure. If you ever watch Timmy Turner, The Fairly Odd Parents, that one kid just had a huge boil on his face.
Yeah, but again, I didn't know if that was a cartoon version of just a really big pimple. You know what I mean? I never saw.
I think boils are big pimples. I'm not too sure.
An actual thing. I'm not sure.
We need to do more research on before we start talking about things.
It makes it less interesting.
Well, yeah, we just let our fans correct us on what a boil is. But so Chet's dad was a leech farmer. Pretty interesting career path.
Dude.
Pretty interesting way to fish them too. Jump in there naked and pull them off you.
I mean, do you have a better way?
Yeah, I mean, it could have net.
Chet in.
I don't know. Could a net catch him? I don't know.
Also, not very lucrative. 12 leeches for a penny. So each leech is only worth 1/12 of a penny.
But you don't know how much that was worth back then.
I mean, I have a conversion chart we can pull up, but that's getting a little too far into it. It's not a lot.
Yeah, but what's a penny
well,
of them
that's true.
is worth
like
$1.
You can get like probably a whole meal for a penny.
Yeah. So, I mean, 12 leeches probably, that's all right. Minimum wage, right? Yeah. Living wage.
This is where Bolton must have been buddy with Chet's dad. Right? Bolton's the leech guy.
He bought a ton of leeches off him, yeah.
His number one customer. And this is where another interesting thought by Chet, he actually gets into a better plan for what he's going to do when he escapes. And he's going to take over Craster's Keep.
Yeah, why not? Just have Paul give him a hug and then all them wives are mine.
Like, that would be the easiest way to get caught. I don't know. It can't be that far.
The Night's Watch rely on this guy. Like, we know that.
Yeah.
Like, they come here frequently.
They're just going to show up and be like, oh, hey, I remember you. Yeah. What are you doing here?
You're not Craster. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you took over. Good for you. Oh, you can be king in the north, too. We'll let you or above the wall. Great.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know. I was defending Chet's plan earlier, saying, like, it seems pretty foolproof. But, yeah, this back half of this plan doesn't seem good at all.
He's going to hide right where they just came through.
Right in plain sight, yeah. And where they all come through every time they go.
A couple days away. A couple days walk away. Like, all right, whatever. And Small Paul, like, I don't know. We haven't seen Craster, but Craster might be able to beat Small Paul. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. No, I thought we said Sorcraft. Didn't we meet him?
We haven't seen him fight. Yeah. Like, I don't know how well versed.
Like
I know he holds an axe next to him.
Yeah, he's old, but he looks pretty fearsome though.
Pretty strong guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So Chet's gonna Paul's gonna kill Craster for him because that's his lackey now. And he's gonna take over the keep, maybe even become king beyond the wall. And now we hear that he's gonna just sleep with all these girls, and they're not gonna be able to say no to him because there's one girl who said no to nobody back home, said no to Chet, and she died.
Exactly. That's why Chet's here.
I mean, he stabbed her. She didn't just die.
He picked some flowers for her. He
gave a little bit of effort.
I'm not trying to stand up for Chet. He's like the OG. He's the OG incel.
This is some incel.
Yeah. This girl was opening her legs for everybody in town. Chet goes out of his way, does something nice. Golden glow, tansies.
I mean, super nice. You give flowers. I mean, quid pro quo, right?
No.
Yeah, you deserve something, right?
I'm just kidding. That was a joke. You don't deserve it.
He was nice, so he deserves.
I'm just saying, she didn't let him down easy. She could have let him down easy. This is like as bad as it gets. Ha ha! Fuck you and your boils. I'd rather fuck a leech. Like,
it's also from Chet's perspective. Like, maybe she just said no.
That's true.
Like, maybe she just turned him down and he was pissed off. But like in his mind, to like make it seem like it was.
This is me defending the bad guy, like I do with Theon and stuff. I'm not saying Chet's the good guy or I defend.
I think you
Chet.
like Chet.
I'm just saying this little part here before he stabs her is, I feel like the little glimmer of that George tries to throw in there. It was like, you're not absolutely you can't completely hate this character. Here's like the glimmer of relatability, like just getting rejected like horribly.
One time back in 7th grade, you could relate.
Yeah, and obviously the answer, right, that a normal person responds is like, wow, that sucks. You go home and cry about it. You don't stab the person. Chet stabbed the person, and now we get him as a character. I'm just saying that's the relatability thrown in for him. You can feel bad.
Everybody's been turned down by somebody. Hopefully the girl didn't laugh in your face if Bessa did laugh at Chet, but
yeah, exactly. We don't know what happened. Like you're saying, it's from his point of view. Who knows what
But he stabbed her enough that Walter Rivers came down and sent his ass to the wall. So
yep, Walter Rivers. Bastard,
there we go.
Walter. It's also, I think this is the first time we heard of this guy. Even the bastards get named Walter. Like, come on. At least they get a different last name so we can tell them.
A lot of names. So I think they decide to just say, fuck it. Like, all right, fuck this hunt. We're not getting the bear. Yep. It's cold as shit. And just a little note, like Paul is wondering about Mormont's raven. Like, what should they do with it? He wants to take it as a new pet.
Yep.
What if it tells somebody?
Yeah, it's a talking bird.
You're gonna know he's dead, man.
They're like, yeah, when they find him with his neck slit, they're not gonna need a bird to tell him that somebody killed him.
I was gonna say, I think Paul's got a point here. What if he's like Chet, you know?
Yeah. That was I was gonna say, is he gonna form a full sentence to be like, oh, it was Chet and Small Paw, right? Yeah, unless Mormont said Chet before he died. Like, I don't know if
normally
the Raven knows, like, oh, Chet. But yeah. So they walk back, and Sam is out practicing his archery.
Few interesting things here. They note that it's so dark that Mormont has during the daytime, it's so dark out that Mormont has torches out.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they walk through they like wade through a stream, which makes you think like at least like above knee-high water, right? And they said that there's ice, there's patches of ice on the surface, but it's not frozen over, so it's not super cold at this moment. Later on, when Mormont spits, his spit freezes before it hits the ground.
Before it hits the ground, which is pretty crazy.
I did a lot of Googling on this, and we'll get to it when we get to it. I don't know. First of all, I don't know if it's possible, but if it is, it's fucking cold as shit out, right? So it gets, and he even talks about how it gets colder. I'm just kind of pointing this out because it kind of
sure. That's definitely a point. Is that it's darker, and it's colder, and it's quieter. Like 3 kind of like, oh shit, what's going on in these woods type of thing.
Exactly.
All the animals are gone type of thing.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back again to the only time we've ever like, and we don't see any like White Walkers others here, but there's the sense they're there with the 3 Hornbless at the end. The only time we've ever seen them so far, right, is the first prologue, right? We've literally read 2 books, 1,500 pages.
John.
So we saw whites, but we never saw the others, right? If we're talking about like the whites
people
are
with
like the zombies versus the
glass sword or the ice swords
the
and
ice
shit.
armor people are, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've only seen those guys once, right? So, and it's kind of crazy that we've read that many pages and we've only seen those guys once. And again, we haven't seen them again. We don't know if it's them or the whites or combination what's coming here. But like, yeah, I like how the prologues are mirroring each other in that vibe, right? Right, like Will's up in the tree watching Waymar Royce, and he says like it got cold as shit right when they showed up. And this whole chapter is like a slow build, it getting colder. And I think like one of the first hints is here they're talking about it being cold, but they wade through a stream. So how cold is it really? Later it gets cold. So just like a small detail, but
yeah. All right. So Sam's out there practicing. He's with his 2 boys. Dolores said,
I've missed him. It's been half a book.
Nelson's real boy. He
tells a funny story here.
Ed is pretty funny. Like I'm paying more attention to him this time, and he's pretty good. He's pretty witty. And then Big Gren's there as well. Yep.
They're practicing archery. They've got people carved into the trunks of trees, and they're shooting arrows at it. Chet hates Sam. He's thought about it like 20 times already, but yeah, he hates Sam because he lost his job.
He does keep. You can tell that's what's building and driving his plan here for sure.
So he's like, "You guys go on. I'm going to sit here so I can laugh when Sam sucks at being an archer." And they do. Lark and Small Paw go off, and he stays with the dogs.
Yeah. So Sam sends one off to the right, nowhere close, and then he sends one up in the air, and he's just bad. And then the one time
when he sends the one off to the right,
Chet laughs.
Chet laughs a little bit. Yeah. And this is what Dolores tells us funny story.
We'll never find that one, and I'll be blamed. Nothing ever goes missing that they don't look at me. Ever since that time I lost my horse. As if that could be helped. He was white and it was snowing. What did they expect?
It's like Chet is just like, thank God for not Chet. Thank God for Dolores or everybody else would be. They say he's dour, but he's like, he's got to be sarcastically joking. He's got to be like funny on purpose. It's like Johnny Bitches. It's like Johnny Bitches from college. It's like I would laugh at that kid all the time, but I was never sure like if what he was telling me was serious or if he was like joking because he would say it with a straight face and he never laughed after.
Yeah, he
like,
wouldn't.
Serious,
he wouldn't
or
laugh.
You just like weird.
Yeah.
Like,
and even when he was like, "No, I'm joking," he like wouldn't laugh after that too. So it was like, okay, like,
like are you joking?
Were you though? Yeah.
I feel like I get those vibes from Dolores. I also like how we've given it in the Southern accent. I feel like it fits with him too, and he's kind of just like fits that role too.
Yeah,
it's just that the dourness. I think. Yeah.
So the second shot goes high. Yep, looks bad, and then the third shot, Sam wants to give up. Gren's like, "Nah, come on, just finish it off." He looks. It seems to me like he doesn't really give a fuck, right? He doesn't actually try and aim. Chet says he just like pulls it and lets go, and that's the one that is the target.
No, he said
right in the ribs. I mean, you just need to just pull and shoot. Just start spreading arrows, Sam. Like, don't even look.
Ed says he said, "I believed you knock a leaf off that tree. Fall is falling fast enough. There's no need to help it."
Yeah, that's his comment after he shoots high. Yeah, and then the last one is Sam asks, "Does he kill it?" And Ed tells him, "Yeah, you hit it in the lung if trees have lungs, but he doesn't think they do in most occasions."
So Chet comes out of the woods, just kind of makes fun of Sam one more time, like, "Oh yeah, great shot!" Like, but when when the wildlings come, they're not going to just be standing there like your tree there. They're coming at you, and you're going to piss your pants when they do.
Yep. Exactly. And then who's the one that pisses their pants later? Which is funny because what Chet says here is you're going to piss your pants, and the last thing you're going to hear is the wildling axe breaking your skull. And then Dolores says, "Oh, Chet, that was you." And then he makes fun of the axe hitting his skull, which clearly didn't happen.
It just knocked out his
What does
wits.
happen is him peeing, right? So Dolores says, like, "Oh, that wasn't Sam, that was you. Quit projecting." And he kind of is projecting because he's the one that pisses himself later.
Well, and I mean, he pretty much, the axe that split your skull, is it true that half your wits leaked out on the ground? He's pretty much saying that's why you're so dumb, right? Like you got hit in the head, right?
But it's not like he's not like Dagmar Cleftjaw. Like he didn't actually get hit in the head. You know what I mean?
No, I know, but I think he's trying to like just calm down.
I think he is trying to calm down too. I think it's also again just a cool parallel. So yeah, they're laughing at Chet, so he leaves, kicks his dogs, heads up the hill, talks to Mormont, gives Mormont the news. Didn't find the bear. Might be old tracks.
Yep, and Mormont's a little bit upset. He just wanted fresh meat, and then meat.
What a weird thing for the Raven to yell.
And so then he goes back to his deal. He gets the dogs kind of down, and he's like, "I need to stay warm." So what he does is he takes a walk with some sour leaf in his lip, and tries to talk to the other guards just to get a feel for what they're doing and what's going on. But it's fucking cold.
Yeah.
He gets back and Lark's at his tent, and Lark's getting a little bit nervous about Paul. He's talking about the Raven.
He wants to talk about the Raven.
He's wondering if we saved any seed for him, man.
Yeah.
Like, what are we gonna do now that I'm gonna take him? Now that I got this bird that I'm required to care for.
It eats meat. Shut the fuck up. Yeah.
He's gonna eat your corpse if you don't start fucking around. Worry about your job.
Does it eat meat?
It's a raven. I mean, it always asks for corn, but that's what Chet thinks. Is Chet says it's a raven. It eats corpses.
Yeah, I didn't
Lark says,
know if
maybe
ravens were
small paws.
vulture-ish type of things.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I assumed they're black, so I assume so.
Well, so's I guess. I guess crows are eating eyes and shit out. If they're hungry, they're gonna eat, right? So
yeah,
they're scavengers for sure. But I think this one's mostly corn fed.
Yeah. One thing is when he's walking the walls, when he stops by Giant, he just a guy they call Giant because he's really small. There's like wind whistling through the thing, and he says it sounds like a baby crying in the bushes. Just like it gave me vibes of the Harrenhal because like they have the whaling tower where the wind passes through the stones because he says it's the wind passing through like the ring wall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's kind of weird.
All right, so it's dinner time, right? And you go to get dinner, and Dywin's just talking about kind of what I mentioned earlier was just the woods being weird, like just another a clue that something different's going on.
It's too quiet.
Like there's no frogs, there's no wolves, and there was wolves, but now they're not here anymore. And like, what the fuck's going on out there?
Yeah. One thing right before Chet goes to dinner, he sits to hone his steel, and it seems like I was like, why did he even put this in? But Chet mentions here that he has to leave his gloves on because if he touches the steel when it's this cold, he'd lose some skin. So I did some Googling. It has to be 0 degrees Fahrenheit, basically, for it to be cold enough that touching steel for 2 seconds would like hurt your skin, like give you frostbite in your skin. So again, I point this out because earlier when they crossed through the brook, again, it might have been less than 32 degrees, but probably not too much because the whole brook wasn't frozen. And then here it's considerably well less than 32 degrees, 0 degrees Fahrenheit ish if it's actually as cold as Chet's saying.
Not to get too pedantic, but like running water freezes at a lower temperature than standing, and so. But you're right, it's getting colder.
Yeah, I think that's the only because I was trying to think like what's the point of like Chet sharpening his sword here is like to show how cold it is the only thing I can. But maybe I'm wrong and it's just like, set the mood.
All right, I gotcha. All right, so Chet's also at dinner, and there's a couple of his crew guys. I like that it's his crew too. Like he was the leader of the pack. A couple of his men, and looking around, and we do get the other two names. I forget what the one was now, but the other one's Maslin. Maslin's fucking sweating, doesn't look good.
The one is Sawwood.
He's
a forester, meaning he's one of the ones that's supposed to go out and like chop down the trees.
He snores like a bastard.
Yeah, but his nickname is not because he's a tree guy; it's because he snores a lot. Exactly.
Yeah, and Maslin's fucking in a cold sweat, worried. And the other guy, I forget who else is there. Maybe it's Lark and Paul, and they're okay.
Dirk and Sweet Donald Hill are both there too. Also, we hear that Sweet Donald Hill, And I knew this. I don't know. To kind of refresh my memory.
Just a bastard.
The bastard name from the Westerlands. He claims to be a bastard of a Lannister, and he points out Chet does mention that he has yellow hair, so it might be.
He looks like him, yeah. Who knows? We don't know. We don't have picture ID. Right?
No ID.
Exactly. If you got yellow hair, you can claim to be a Lannister bastard. So they're eating dinner, and Mormont calls everyone. All right, time form up, team meeting, and they get there, and it's Mormont and all the commanders, like all the high-ranking officers: Malador Locke, Thorin Smallwood, Blaine, and Otten Withers.
Chet knew something was up.
And before he starts talking, he spits. And from what I saw, it's basically impossible for like a glob, like a ball of spit to freeze.
Yeah.
But he says spittle, which I think means like the small bits of
just
spit,
little
like
bits of
droplets.
spit.
And I think that, from what I found Googling, that's possible in -15 Fahrenheit, which is -26 Celsius.
So it's getting colder rapidly.
Exactly. Again, I don't know if that's important, but that's kind of what I took from some of these like weird one-off lines with the chapter.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, to your point, like why mention it if it's not? You know,
Yeah.
it seems like it's pretty benchmark of.
At this point, too, the sun has gone down. Like, the sun goes down right about when he goes to get dinner, so it makes sense that it would be getting a lot colder rapidly at that point.
Well, and for what it's worth, I didn't pick up on any of this.
Have you ever seen the videos? You had no clue others were coming?
No, I had no idea.
It very well might be me reading too much into it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I do think to that point, there are some signs now to look back and be like, oh, wow, the others, it was something different. Like the noises in the woods, the temperature, the darkness, I think all of that plays into trying to hint that it's others and not just something
I'm sure
normal.
it is. Yeah. I just missed it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's no way I'd caught on it the first time.
I mean, you don't have to make me feel better. I missed it for sure.
The other thing I'll say is we haven't seen, like I pointed out earlier, we haven't encountered this very often. So it's hard to recognize a pattern.
Enough, yeah.
When there's no pattern to recognize. So this is kind of like setting the pattern, if anything, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely the point of all this, right? Like, you're so overwhelmed and wrapped up in the Wildling March, and then them trying to get out of here. I didn't even like think about the fact that there's others on top of the. And I already tonight even I was considering the White Walkers and the others all the same thing.
Yeah. So
I mean, I get that they're not, but you don't have to explain all that.
No, and what I was gonna say is I think kind of this, like the prologue kind of does in the first book, and I think this prologue does a good job of being like, hey, now you guys have read however many, like 1,500 pages of this political nonsense going all over the kingdom. That bullshit doesn't matter. There's a real problem up north, and you're about to read another 900 pages of like bullshit going on in Westeros. It doesn't matter. There's some real shit going on up north that we're just going to keep like touching in every once in a while. You know what I mean? It's like,
don't forget about this one.
Like, kind of to your point, like even within the chapter, we're like, oh, don't kill Sam, don't kill Mormont. Oh, we got these wildlings. None of it fucking matters. Like, there's one thing that matters way more than all of it, and everyone's forgetting about it. And half the world doesn't even think it's real.
Well, and I don't know how true it is, but that is another gripe or it's another spoiler-ish gripe that I heard from a lot of people going in, was like, they spend all this time building up the whites and the others and all that, and then they don't really ever show up. And I think some of that comes from the show as well, and you don't have to answer that, but like in the show, maybe they weren't as strong or as fearsome as what everybody was like. The whole time it was like this existential threat to the north, and then it just kind of fizzled.
Yeah, it's definitely a show thing.
I feel like the reason people say that is they use it. I feel like they use like White Walkers, others a lot in promos for the show, right? So like in trailers every season, there's some White Walker shit, and then like you like get a prologue.
10 minutes. There's like 10 minutes.
You know what I mean? Like you get the
prologue.
prologue.
Oh, you mean the same as the books? That's what you mean?
Like in book 1.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing.
Exactly, but there's no trailers for the books. Like, like we know this is a thing, but like it's not like a point that they're trying to hype us up on every.
Yeah, so maybe it's a show thing.
But it's a valid. I think it's a valid argument in both places. I just think there's more hype. There's not as much hype built up around it for the book stuff, I guess.
Well, also, like, I think if Nelson spoke his mind about the show, like, he would agree with, he wasn't too excited with how the whites or the others.
That's one thing. Again, I don't want to give too much spoilers, but like,
yeah, I don't either. But
I don't think it's spoilery to say there's still a ton of mystery around the others in whites where Jeff and I are at in the books. Like, we do not know. I think I told you this when we read the prologue for book 1. we do not know much more about this stuff than you do. And I think at this point you can probably believe me. Like the pace of this stuff showing up, it picks up maybe a little bit, but not, you know what I mean? Like not a ton.
Yeah, I mean, we get 3 more chapters.
Like to your point, so far we've had prologue of book 1. We've had maybe 2 or 3 Johns in book 1 with the hands and then him actually killing them, right? Besides that, was there anything in book 2? Like they maybe mentioned it with John going north, but probably no.
No, I don't think so.
Or Yoren or whoever went south with the hand in the jar. It wasn't Yoren.
Alistair. Alistair. He mentioned it exactly. He brought that up with Tyrion.
It was dead.
But you're right. That's pretty much it in book 2, and then here we are in book 3.
And nobody believed him. It was rotted hand by then. They laughed him out of the deal.
So again, I'm not gonna say like it picks up a little bit, but like it's not like Jeff and I are the authority. Like nobody knows anything about this. We know
where it's going or what they're gonna do.
And to Jeff's point, if there's anything that I didn't like about the show, it was just that like they revealed some of the mystery stuff. And it's not that I didn't like it, but it's just like, oh, I hope it's different in the books. And maybe that means I didn't like it if I hope it's different in the books. But
all right, let's get back on track. So Mormont's given this plan. He gave the update. These people are walking down. It's kind of an update we already knew. It's basically what Thorin said. And now like the plan is to basically do what Thorin wanted to do. I think a little bit differently. I think Thorin wanted to just face him head on. And I kind of like this tactic of like swooping around the side really quick, getting him in and like letting the vanguard push forward,
punch him in the soft spots,
so that you can now take down this herd of people. Basically, doesn't sound like they're the ones ready to fight. Like, and we know their armor is not very good. Their weapons are rocks and bone. Like you could take out a big chunk if you just like kind of run through it really quick, like guerrilla warfare. Like boom, hit him out this path, go through another one, circle around, get him again. Like you could do that a couple times to at least make a dent to where you're leaving a little bit of doubt in them, right? So you're not going to kill all 30,000, but if you can kill 5,000 and scare the other 25 that they bail, you win.
That's my problem with the plan is like, what's your end game, right? And Smallwood says it is like, we win when they retreat. And my argument is like, they should just never retreat.
Well, they might not retreat.
The only reason they have to is because you're attacking their civilians, right? Which is...
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's like, this is the first really dishonorable thing that the Night's Watch is about to do, right? Like, this is super grimy for sure.
I think the art of war goes out with this relationship up north. It's more or less like, you're bad, you got to lose to protect the realm. Like, you can't if you get past this wall, it's not good. So we're doing...
But like these people haven't done anything that I've seen yet.
For right? Sure. They're just trying to live. They're trying to live north.
They just live north of the wall, and they're still currently north of the wall.
Right. I think that's been even said. Like, these kids have just been born up here. Like, they didn't choose to be. They were just born there. They're a wildling, and it's... Yeah,
so, like, I mean, to just go in and be like, oh, yeah, here's their vulnerable targets. There's going to be thousands of these old ladies pushing carts and, like, just go fuck them up. Like, it's kind of... It's a grimy tactic.
It's definitely grimy, but I think it's their best tactic to... If they're going to fight, this is what they should be doing.
It's what Tywin did, right? When Tywin was in the Riverlands, he's like... Here's how we get them to stop.
Yeah, you fuck up their farmers and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we want Robb to just go back home. We want, right? Here's Thorin Smallwood. We want them to just go back home. What do? We just attack the people that can't defend themselves until the people that can go back home. That's literally the same strategy that Tywin had and the same strategy that the Wildlings have. So, like, or that the Night's Watch have. So, like,
we always talk so highly of Tywin.
Not honorable, but effective is kind of how we talk about Tywin, right? Like Machiavellian.
Yes, I know. And that's what I'm saying. Like the Night's Watch has like this air of honor and respect around them, right?
So what I'm going to say to that point is, what did Corin tell Jon at the end of the last Jon chapter, right? He's like, you got to go over.
Well, and what I was going to say to that point was that this is a lot of, rapists, murderers, like awful people. And then here we are holding them to this higher standard. So it's kind of contradictory in itself.
That's a great point. But to put that aside, what I was going for was Corin tells Jon, our honor doesn't matter at all, right? Like if that wall falls, we're fucked. That's all that matters, right? Like they say, he makes him say the oath so that at the end he's like, our honor doesn't matter. You're going to go be a turncloak, fake turncloak, whatever, right?
get the job done.
And here, they don't say it, but it's the same thing. It's like, our honor doesn't matter. We got to do whatever means necessary to stop this shit. If they're coming at the wall, we got to stop them.
And to be fair, this wildling army, because we know how the wildlings react, these kids probably have some sort of weapon on them. Like, I get it. They can't fight. I know. I'm not saying that they're a formidable opponent at all. But in their minds, every person there probably is a soldier. Like, they're expecting every person with them to probably fight. And I'm not saying that I expect them to fight well or whatever, but...
He's got a stick. Shoot him. Yeah, like...
It's what I was saying earlier when I was saying, like, I'm kind of on Chet's side in terms of, like, if they want me to fight, let's get the fuck out of here. That's a suicide mission. It's like the 10... Would you rather fight 10 horse-sized ducks or 100 duck-sized horses? Did I say that? Is that right? I said it right or backwards?
Kind of, I guess, yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like...
I'm taking the little horses. I'm kicking the shit out of them. What do you mean?
Just hold on. The hypothetical rests. The point is, the hypothetical of that question, that ridiculous question, the hypothetical rests on the fact that a large number of something that's less fearsome,
formidable,
is still as dangerous as less large. Like,
that's some big ass ducks there. I don't. Depends on what kind of weapon I have.
And to your point, the 100 horses in this analogy is what you're saying. All these wildling children with their butter knives who are going to fight.
I'd fight 100 mini tiny horses before I just fought a single swan. I'm going to tell you that much right now. Just like a normal swan.
All right, let's move on. We know Nelson's turning running scared from the old ladies and the kids. And he's probably got hardened steel, sharpened hardened steel with a horse. And
this is a suicide mission, and they know it. Everyone knows it. Even Mormont knows it, which is why he has a badass quote.
It has been a suicide mission since they left the wall, pretty much, too.
Their lives don't matter.
Exactly. If we're going for the whole Corrin thing, Corrin's all about, like, our job is to die protecting the wall. That's, like, our job.
It's like Spartans.
Die for the black. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple guys that are scared. He's like, what do you mean? There's thousands of them. We can't do this. And then Maslin yells out. Chet recognizes his voice, like, we're going to die. And then, Mormont is like, basically like, shut up. Remember your words. And they get into the chant. I don't know if there's more to that than just them starring the words, Nels, but.
He said, many of us, the old bear said, mayhaps even all of us. But as another Lord Commander said 1,000 years ago, that is why they dress us in black.
It's dope line.
Remember your words, brothers, for we are the swords in the darkness, the watchers on the walls.
Yeah, and then like they all start picking it up, right?
Yeah, it's a great line for dressing in black. It's that should get you fired up to fight, Nelson.
Why though, Jeff?
Just because it's kind of like a pregame speech. Like Mormont just gave a great pregame speech. Like if you don't get a little bit of the goosebumps in the feels, like.
But why do you think that's a great speech? Like, what do you think he's saying?
He reminds you what Corrin said.
It reminds you who you are, what your job is. I mean, you have a job.
What he's saying is we're already dead.
Everybody's gonna die anyway. So do you want to go out in a blaze of glory, or do you want to go out in your bed? I mean, it's a warrior mentality. It's like, it's like
every day could be our last with the job we have. We're going out here to do some dangerous shit.
This is literally every underdog war movie is like, well, we only got 15 of us, but we can try and. It's like Saving Private Ryan. We got 15 guys. We can stop this bridge from getting to the Germans, or we can fall back and let them win the war. No, those 15 guys set up and they all die except for the little bitch guy who doesn't save his bow.
Exactly. Yeah.
They all die
Nelson.
And they save the bridge.
Except for Chet and maybe me.
Nelson.
Yeah.
And Nelson.
It all depends on the speech that they like. Mormont maybe a little more than one or two more of those banger fire quotes.
Yeah, I don't know. That one.
It sounds like you're with me.
That one to me is like he's kind of already saying like this is already a lost cause almost. Like this is what we're here for, but it's a lost cause.
Yeah,
so.
if we continue to do these attacks for long enough that they all
but
just
it's not.
home.
He's not just saying like, oh, let's die. Like if he was like, fuck it, let's die. He'd probably be like, all right, like everybody go off on your own route. Like it doesn't matter. He's saying this is our plan. We have a chance to win. Like
you think it's a good plan, Jeff?
I think it's the best plan that they could possibly have. If you would just line up and meet the 500 van.
You think it's better than going back to the wall and using the wall as defense?
No, I think going back to the wall would be a fine thing too. Like obviously it's a big wall. They don't have enough people to guard the whole thing. We know that already. But if you're going to fight, this is the best way to fight.
Sure.
If you're going to retreat, fine, retreat. But they've decided to fight. What's our game plan to fight? Boom. This is it. I think it's the best thing. Get fired up and do your job or die. And if you die, all right, like you gave it your all. But whatever.
I agree with the fight tactic. This is the best tactic for a fight. I think one of the big plots of the chapter was Chet talking about how there was a huge debate of fight or run. Right? Otten Withers wanted to fight, Smallwood wanted to run, and Malador Locke was one of the commanders that was on the fence. Sweet Donald Hill was Malador Locke's squire, which is kind of how Chet had all his inside information early, and he was kind of pissed when he heard that Malador Locke decided to side with Smallwood. So we heard all of that before they even went into the commander's tent. Again, none of this matters, but like it's kind of cool to see like, oh, the intel we heard was like, we could have guessed that they would have attacked because we heard going in that 2 of the 3 were on that side. Again, doesn't matter, but the debate, there was a whole kind of like subplot throughout the chapter of like, oh, are they going to want to run or are they going to want to fight?
Yeah. So they go back they know they have like 10 days, right? 10 days till, at least what they think is they have 10 days till the wildlings are on them. I think they're moving in the morning, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
And Chet's like, well, fuck it. You're going to die in the morning, so it doesn't really matter. Like, we're going to be out of here. And he tries to go to sleep a little bit, and he starts thinking that something's going to go wrong. Everything that can go wrong might go wrong. It's too quiet. What's going on? Like, I hear the wind, but nothing else. He thinks of Bessa, his girl.
Sees her face floating.
Feels a little remorseful for the first time ever. Shit's starting to fall on his head, and it's snow, right? And it's just, we mentioned it. Snow's falling. Snow's ruining all the plans. They're going to be able to track them through the snow. The horses won't be able to see the steps. The food cache will be covered in snow. Like, it must be a pretty hard snow if, like, all that shit's going to be covered by the time they do the plan. But
so what does he think? Like, what is he thinking when he's like, I'm going to go kill Sam anyway?
This is one thing I like. You're just going to kill your brother and then it's going to be okay because it was snowing. And they're just going to be like, all right, Sam's gone. Like, it makes no sense to me that he goes to try and murder Sam right now.
Yeah, again, I was kind of like asking, like, did I miss something in my notes because I didn't get this far in my notes? But like, is there like an actual reason?
This is just that pure hatred that's been building for weeks, but throughout the chapter, manifesting.
If there's one thing you'd be thinking, it's like, well, fuck, our plan no escapes not going to work now. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to have to walk to go fight these wildlings. Like, I might as well kill Sam now before they just decide to kill me. And maybe I'll just run off on my own now and try and get away after I kill Sam.
Sense. Yeah, because I'm fucked anyway.
I agree with you. Like, if you were like, oh shit, the plan's thwarted and we have no shot now, and you just like kind of step back in line as a Night's Watchman, it makes no sense to kill Sam. If you're basically like, fuck it, I'm out anyway, or I'm gonna be dead.
Yeah,
I'll kill Sam now and see what happens. But
yeah, one cool thing as all this is going on, when he's thinking of like everything he's lost, he's basically just like reciting the Night's Watch vows, just like like backwards, like no wives nor crowns, like there'll be no lord's life for the Leechman's sons, no keep to call his own, no wives, no crowns. Right, the Night's Watch vows are literally no lands, no titles, no wives, no crowns. So Chet here basically he's just in his mind, he's kind of just saying like, I hated this life. Everything I swore to is all the shit I didn't want to like be true to. I think it's just kind of funny how like it just goes right through kind of the list just like the vows do. But then he goes up, goes to Sam,
wakes him up.
Ravens are talking to him, saying snow over and over again, driving his rage. Like we were talking about, why is he killing Sam? Yeah. Pure rage at this point, blinded by it. Horn goes off.
Like, oh shit, Corin Halfhand's back, or the other guy.
Because so one means the Rangers black is back, right?
Yep.
Yeah. 2 is wildlings.
Yep.
Yeah. So the first one wakes Sam up. He sits up.
It's like, holy shit, was there another one? Did I dream of 2?
Yeah.
But I think that's actually when the second one
that's after the second one. Yeah.
The first one wakes him up, and then another one comes.
Then the second one comes, and he's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
tell me that was the first one, and I didn't wait. I just woke up for no reason. Basically, is what Sam's thinking.
Another part is like Chet. Like, what's your plan at this point? After the first, he's like, oh shit, now half the camp's awake. Like, was he gonna try and scoot out the back door?
I think he was gonna try and slink off for sure. And I think even when Sam talks to him, he's like, like, why are you here? Almost. I feel like that's kind of the awkward conversation they had.
Yeah, you're saying, Kyle, like when he goes to kill Sam here at the end, it's basically what you were suggesting at the beginning. Like, why not just leave? Like, without killing anybody. That's kind of where he's at. He's like, okay, I'm just going to fucking leave. Fuck it. I don't care if it's snowing. I'm just going to kill this fat guy and leave by myself. That's kind of where he's at.
I don't even know if he's thinking of leaving, but yeah.
The other question, you know what? He hadn't talked to any of the other 14. Like, if he doesn't tell Small Paul's not going to realize that the snow, you know what I mean, is stopping this plan.
Well, it's also like way before that watch and everything, right? So
That's
like,
true.
who's to know? Like,
if he wouldn't go to 10 to 10 and be like, all right, it's off.
The meeting point or something.
For a second, I was thinking, like, is Chet just doing his part of the plan? Like, is everybody just doing their part of the plan right now? But you're right. I think it's a different time.
All right. So they're like, oh shit, wildlings. Like, everyone starts gearing up and oh fuck. And Chet pees his pants.
It's funny, too, because right before he pees himself, he mocks Sam with the exact thing that he was saying
axe
earlier.
is coming
like,
at your
There's a
head.
wildling axe for you out there. Yeah, and then the third one.
Bam.
The sound went on and on until it seemed it would never die. The ravens were flapping and screaming, flying about their cages and banging off the bars. And all about the camp, the brothers of the Night's Watch were rising, donning their armor, buckling on sword belts, reaching for battle axes and bows. Samuel Tarley stood shaking, his face the same color as the snow that swirled down all around them. 3, he squeaked to Chet. That was 3. I heard 3. They never blow 3. Not for hundreds and thousands of years. That means others. Chet made a sound that was half a laugh and half a sob, and suddenly his small clothes were wet, and he could feel the piss running down his leg, see steam rising off the front of his breeches.
Dun dun dun. Pee pants.
One thing I also wanted to talk to Kyle about, we're going long. Did you see,
I haven't been going short.
by chance, the next chapter?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we were going to end with that, I figured. So I didn't bring it up, but it's Jane.
Jane, yep.
No, it's Jamie.
I was like, what? Did I just read that wrong? I literally just looked too. So.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this. Obviously, he's alive for some of this book.
He was not one we mentioned when we said, oh, you know who would be cool POVs when we did our Clash of Kings recap. He was not on the list, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't think he is.
Kat was getting
cool.
her sword at the last time we saw.
Yeah, but we did have that discussion of, do we think he's dead?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what I said at this point, but I didn't think he was.
I think at this point right now you have in your mind just the way you've been reacting, like, are they dead or alive? I think most of the time you're thinking plot armor saves these people right now, but like Bran, plot armor, Jamie, plot armor. That's just been your predictions. Tyrion, plot armor.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely some of it, but at the same time, like we've said this before, and it's a trope and everything. Like if they don't die on screen, like they're not actually dead, right? So like,
but I think characters like Lewin, right, and Renly, right, who aren't POV characters. Like Lewin for a different reason than Renly. Renly because his death kind of impacts the story in a big way. Lewin because like we've seen him a lot from other people's POVs, and he seems like a good like role model. Like those types of deaths like happen like not infrequently, but or not frequently, but also not infrequently.
All right, Kyle, thoughts? What happens with this group and the others?
Oh man, well, I mean, we've seen how poorly any of those fights go already, right? Like, so didn't we come across a camp that was wiped out by them as well when John and the group were coming north?
Well, all the camps were empty, and they kind of assumed that they were all the wildlings were going north to meet up.
Yeah,
together.
I thought there was one that there was some weird shit at.
I think that's the first prologue. The first prologue, yeah.
No, I thought there was another one, but maybe it was that like, one. Maybe,
there's a bunch of dead bodies, right? And then don't they come back and the bodies are
gone?
I
mean nobody seems to fare well around them. So so I think overall they're in a really shitty spot here. We might see the end of Mormont in general. I still think I don't think the whole fist is getting wiped out. though. I think somehow people get out of here.
Gotcha. I feel like we don't know like the numbers of the others or anything like that. Like this is probably better than the wildling actually showing up.
I don't know. So far, like everything I know
crazy
about them is like they're like fighting 100 Godzilla-sized ducks.
But even the 500 in the van, that's 500 mounted men. Like warriors.
And what I'm saying is that everything I'm reading about these guys feels like that they're even stronger.
Yeah, for sure.
Where I'm at with that, I guess, like that was gonna be my stretch prediction of maybe the wildlings come and save them.
Ooh.
Fighting with each other.
Enemy and my enemy is my friend, right?
Yep. Then we get the Night's Watch wildling team up with a sentry.
Bam.
I don't know that they're going to be best buds, but like, maybe the van was driving them around or something, like pushing these others and push them on top of the black and then, or the Night's Watch. And then they accidentally kind of sandwich them, have a fight together. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. I'm good. Good predictions. Good thoughts. We're starting it. We're here.
Looks good.
Again,
one. I'm biased because everybody knows I'm addicted to these books, but I think this is a cool chapter. I think I've been with Jeff. I've been in the camp where like I think it's a little bit of a slog for some reason. Like taking notes over like a long time. I thought I caught a lot of stuff that I like never caught, like the cold and a lot of stuff we talked about. But yeah, I like the chapter.
Good chapter.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me this week. Then I don't have anything else to say.
All right. Well, I'll say I'm excited for the next one. So.
Yeah, I think that will be. It's always good to hear somebody new. So, looking forward to see how he's written.
See Kyle there. We'll see the rest of you guys in the spoiler section.
All right, Kyle.
Hey, later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Now on to the spoiler section for Prologue of Storm of Swords. Jeff, any hot takes?
So not really. There's one thing that I'm actually kind of excited to bring up to you, and you might be on this as well. I didn't get it until we recapped the chapter, but it's the fact that the whistling of the wind sounds like a child crying, and we know that the others come to Craster's Keep when there's a child to be, what is the word?
To be picked up from the woods, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering, like, do we know any of, like, the Craster baby stuff yet? Like, did we learn any of that on the way up?
We know that Gilly's pregnant, and she doesn't, if it's a boy, she doesn't want it to be a boy. But that's all we know. And she was like, you need to take me and the baby, because if it's a boy...
Because I almost said something, because in the show, on the way up, this is a great reason why we shouldn't have, like, one example why it's a great thing we didn't have Kyle watch season 2.
Yeah.
I'm 95% sure in season 2, John sees Craster take a baby into the woods. He sees an other take it.
Yeah.
He brings it up to Mormont, and Mormont says,
don't worry about it. Like, we know.
We do shit that you don't know about because we have to out here. Right? Like, do you think Benjen didn't know about this? Like, Mormont basically says it to John.
Yeah.
And I almost brought that up when Kyle's like, wow, this is like the first dishonorable thing we hear them doing. I'm like, wait, didn't Mormont give a whole speech to John? But I guess that is just show. Man, the show fucks you up sometimes. Yeah.
I mean, so it's such a more sped up timeline too. But so that was my thought, is like, why are the White Walkers here at the Fistbend? Like, why are they coming this way? And is it because there's somebody that's offering up a baby to the others?
Or they think there is just because of the noise. I never thought about that. That maybe just like the noise of the first men sounds like a baby for some reason. I just took it more of like a literary symbolism. Like like for some reason we associate a baby crying in the woods with the others, and that's what Chet's hearing here.
What happens here? I forget. Like, I know Sam runs away.
One cool thing, so we get this. We only hear about this now from Sam's point of view.
Yeah.
In Sam 1 of this book, he's on the run back to Craster's Keep.
Yeah.
And he is having, like, you know how in all these chapters we get people thinking to themselves, remembering what happened in the past. Yeah. That's how we learn about what happened here, is from Sam remembering while he's on the way back. One cool thing is Small Paul, I think, picks him up and just like Sam gives up and he's like, I'm done, I quit. And Small Paul just picks him up and carries his ass.
Yeah.
Like for so long. Shit.
When does Mormont get mutinied?
At Craster's Keep, similar
Same.
thing, and it's basically, I think it's all everyone who survives the Fist of the First Men, who was on that list that Kyle, that you read out,
Yeah.
that me and you read out. Everyone who's on that list that survives, Chet and Lark both die, but everyone who survives, except one, is part of the Craster's Keep
Mutiny.
So one person has a change of heart in between, you know what I mean, and like
Yeah.
decides like, okay, fuck it, I'm going back to the wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's how it is. I haven't read up on that in a while, but I'm pretty sure that's
And there's
how the
no
count
character.
goes.
I mean, maybe it's the dirt guy, like the guy that is really good with
There's really no, there really isn't
that guy that was a
Carl
supreme
Tanner
killer. Yeah.
from Flea Bottom. Not really. He's just he's a cool show character. I like that. He's kind of badass. But you're saying like what happened here? One thing that happened here, and again, like I think this is so cool that George, and again, maybe it's not intentional. I think it's intentional. The bear print, we said it was symbolism for, they didn't find the bear at the beginning of the chapter. They don't get Old Bear Mormont.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this happens in season 7 of the show, there's an undead bear.
Right.
That is one of the things that Sam
right.
remembers from the Fist of the First Men, is like people yelling like, it's a giant. No, it's a bear, bear, bear.
Oh, shit.
So I don't think Sam sees it, but he hears people yelling about an undead bear, and he writes it. Like he writes that in the letter that he tries to send back to the wall, is there's an undead bear.
Yeah.
Again, like all the animals are gone. They mention that later.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why do the dogs not want to track this bear print?
Right.
Could it have been an
like
undead bear
horse
print?
sense a little bit, or like dog sense that they knew something was fucked up?
But maybe this was the bear that walked off and got turned into the undead bear.
Or
you know what I mean? Like before, this is the print from before it was the undead bear.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know, but when I read that, I'm thinking like, wow, is this bear print from like they're hunting bears? Like that's not what you hunt normally. Like when I think of a bear, I don't think of like that's a hunting animal, right? That's like a predator.
Sure.
And I guess they're probably not really predators. But like you're hunting deer. You're hunting deer or something. You're elk, right? Not bear, but
yeah.
So I think it's just a weird thing that it's bear.
All right. There was one thing that you kind of talked about, and I thought it was kind of spoilery. And now I can't fucking remember it. I should have wrote it down. But at one point, you like I think it was stuff that we didn't really know about, and it wasn't
the
like
other stuff was about the others, like it being cold and dark.
I think maybe a little bit of the other stuff.
But again, it's to the thing where like maybe I'm talking about that again because of people theorizing it, but we don't ever see the others again.
Yeah.
Right. We Sam kills one. Besides Sam killing one, we never see others again. So like there's not much I'm going off of that Kyle doesn't know.
Yeah.
So I maybe again I think to your point, I think it's possible for me to spoil Kyle just talking about stuff from like theories.
Yeah.
Right? Like from like theories, even though he might have all the information. I think it's still possible to spoil him. But I think that one's a gray area. I guess let us know in the comments or in the Discord what you guys think. Was I crossing the line there?
And maybe the other thing is like telling him like, oh, well, we don't see this anymore. Like it might change expectations if he knows that we're not going to see it anymore too. So
exactly. That's why I was like kind of hesitant to say that, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes he thinks that we're hiding things from him, and I'm like, because sometimes we can talk freely with him about certain things that we like. If we all have the same information, we can talk freely and like speculate freely. And he should know that we don't have any extra information.
Right.
I feel like. Let us know in the comments if you think it like, because I can see what you're saying. I can see why could be spoilery the way I was going about that. So let us know what you guys think.
All right. What's your hot take?
I didn't really have much. The bear trap. I mean, you said a lot of it. The babe in the bush. One other thing is when he's talking about when Chet's talking about the flowers he picks for her. One of the wild flowers he picks is tansy.
Tansy tea.
Tansy tea, which is
what was used for Lysa, and it's basically morning after pill.
Exactly. Plan B tea. It's the tea from the House of the Dragon, right?
Yeah.
That it comes up.
I
guess in case anyone hasn't seen that yet. I feel like we've spoiled that already, but this is the spoiler section, so yeah, spoilers. That comes up in there, and yeah, I think it comes up like I think Hoster's already said it at the end of Clash of Kings, but I think it becomes like a main point very soon, like in the next few cat chapters is when he really starts kind of diving into that.
Yeah.
And the very last Sansa chapter, I think, of this book is Baelish pushed Lysa out the window.
Oh.
Before that, we hear everything. We hear like, I had your baby and Hoster made me drink the shit. Like, I poisoned John Aaron. We hear everything. Right. So that's the end of this book.
It's pretty cool that comes up because I don't remember what happens in this book. Like it's all just kind of one story to me.
Yeah.
But like Kyle thinks that he was like of the like Littlefinger actually did sleep with Cat type of thing. When we last talked about that, so it's gonna be cool for that stuff to kind of come full circle.
I think that's all I had. Yeah, we talked about a lot of the stuff we could talk about. The others coming, cold, dark. I think that's cool. One of the questions I think people talk about in the fandom is like, can the others like just come whenever they want? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of how it seems. I guess maybe not in the show. I was gonna say that's kind of how it seems in the show, but maybe not.
Yeah.
In the books, it kind of is more like they can only come at nighttime. Where like if it's daytime, you're safe. They can't show up and make it nighttime. But it is weird how it's dark during the daytime. It's just, I guess, overcast.
Like they're bringing the night almost. Like the other thing is a question like how quick do they actually go? If it seems like they kind of just appear out of nowhere, or do they travel like an actual man? Like do they have to get on a horse and ride? Does it take them a week to travel?
Can they just teleport, you're saying, I guess?
Yeah, do they just like show up in the winter? Like I'm assuming that they don't. I'm assuming that they have to travel and they probably just don't need sleep or anything like that. So
we don't know anything about like I've been saying, we don't know shit about the others. The whites, the zombie people, we know way more about, right? They show up a decent amount more in the rest of the books.
Yeah.
Bran sees them, I think, once or twice. So like we'll see them a decent amount more. But yeah, the others, I think the only time we see them was Sam. So but yeah, that was all I had. I think this is a cool chapter. I think the next Jaime chapter is a super cool chapter, and it's just super interesting. Kind of like Kyle said, it'll be interesting to see like.
Is it Cat or is he already away with Brienne?
Him and Brienne are on a boat. They are going. I don't want to spoil it, but they're escaping River Run.
Yeah, no, I know they get on a boat. I didn't remember if it was like an actual conversation with him and Cat or if it's just like him escaping. And I figured he's going to talk about Cat cutting off his bondage or something like that with the sword.
There's some differences from the show. I bet you don't remember exactly what happened in the book, so I'll leave it there just so you get a few surprises for yourself.
Okay.
I'll leave you unspoiled. How about that?
Sounds good, man. All right.
So we'll see everyone in the next one. Thanks for listening. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, leave us a comment, join the Discord, all that stuff.
Bye.
Bye-bye.